and I don't want to go back to that person. I don't want to go back to that place. So I have a couple of key things that will help. Something about moving into winter just inspires an automatic slowdown. You've got the snuggly blankies that you just can't resist getting into, lighting up a candle, just create a nice warm ambiance. And you know, it makes sense. I mean, it's colder out. You want to snuggle into the blankets, and it's darker out. There's more cloudy days in the fall and winter than in the summer. So, you know, lighting the candle kind of fits with the whole mood. It's harder to get out of bed in the mornings. It's harder to get motivated to do stuff. There's just something about entering into the winter that puts everything on slow motion. A lot of people get seasonal depression, and that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. You're slowing down, so you're not as motivated to do stuff, which means you have less energy output. There's less sun, so you're not getting all that vitamin D, which can make you lethargic and slow you down that way. You're probably eating a lot of really delicious foods. You're eating warmer stews and baking more and getting the oven going to make the house toasty. And then you got the holidays with all of those foods that are definitely on the heavier side. Winter just kind of trigger a low vibe lingering longer than normal. One of the things that I know that was really hard for me when I was in depression is it was always way worse in the wintertime. You're less active, you're less, there's less reasons to get out of the house and go do things, forcing that exercise, which naturally causes a little bit of a high. Depressions are always worse in the wintertime because I work so hard to leave that era of my life. I find myself being very nervous when I notice multiple days not doing a lot, feeling very motivated to go back to bed, not inspired to work on any of my projects, not really feeling pushed to do stuff. And I don't want to go back to that person. I don't want to go back to that place. So I have a couple of key things that will help me and maybe anybody else that feels a little bit lower in the wintertime, kind of kick it from taking over. We don't want that to take over and hold us for the entire winter because there's just too many good things going on. I mean, beyond the holidays, there is such a stark beauty to that cold, sleepy hibernation of the world. And you don't need to go and hibernate yourself and miss out on all of that. Hopefully, this will maybe help anybody else that has those seasonal depression problems, not let them take hold so strongly. Low vibe versus high vibe, just really quickly. All it means is, what's your outlook on life? Are you excited about life? Are you inspired about life? Are you looking forward to what's coming next and just in the moment of joy? Or are you feeling low and depressed and sad and angry and spiteful and, victim, out, the world's out to get me, like just not enjoying life too much? So low vibe, high vibe. Basically, we're trying to get rid of the low vibe side where you're not enjoying life and encourage the things that are going to give you the high vibe where you're excited for living and excited to be here and start a new day. Here's a couple of the things that have really helped me stay out of low vibe energy. I'm not just talking about keeping your skin moisturized, drinking extra water, and all the external health things that you should up a little bit in the winter time, because all of those heaters running really dries you out, and those definitely can make you feel a little sluggish. And put on some extra lotion, get some extra water to drink. But here's a couple extra pieces that you may also want to consider. Now, this one might be coming a little bit late, my number one tip, because October is generally filled with a lot of gleeful joy at scaring the crap out of ourselves. I would recommend against it. And this is a habit I actually started years ago of not watching scary movies any longer. Some people get such a rush out of getting scared, and it's addicting. Like, that rush is something that makes you feel very alive, but it also triggers your survival mode, your fight, flight, fawn, panic mode. In those feelings over and over and over again as you're watching a movie or even the show. Something that's not even going to be jumping out and scaring you, but is definitely very dark, like murder mysteries, cold case files, all of things talking about the gruesome side of the world. You're not feeling happy. You're not feeling joyful. You're not feeling very good about humanity and life when you're watching those types of shows or reading those types of books even. If you are wanting to heal yourself and keep a higher vibe, cut out the scary movies, the horror, murder, the dark side of the world. We know it's out there. I've had some people say, well, how do you know about the world? I'm like, if somebody kidnaps me, locks me in a basement, and is going to torture me, none of these movies are really going to help me get through that type of scenario. Give me a basic self-defense class, or something for escaping, but don't torture my brain with all the possibilities of how bad it could get if I find myself in a scenario like that. That's not helping. Number two, which is a little bit similar, is actually sad music. There are some beautiful, just incredible pieces of music out there that will just inspire your emotions to match it. Especially if you've gone to a concert, you just feel it all throughout yourself. That's really powerful. So if you're listening to really upbeat music, you can't help but be in a good mood. That's what inspires people to blast music while they're doing a boring task like cleaning. They're going to dance around and just feel so much better about that task because it changes up the way your emotions are. Flip side is if you're already having a bad day and you listen to some dark music, some depressing music, sad music, you're not doing anything to get yourself out of the bad day vibe. You are just really setting the scene to lock yourself in for a lot longer. There's a lot of artists that are very powerful at evoking those strong emotions. I mean, it is a beautiful thing, but if you don't want to get trapped in one of those low vibe days, especially longer term, you really need to stay away from some of the sad music. So I'm sorry if there's some favorites out there that ruins, but I think the big picture at the end of the day gets the benefit. Happy music, happy vibe, upbeat. It doesn't have to be fast music. Just shouldn't be talking about ending yourself or ending other people or anything like that. Here's one that I work on pretty much a daily basis, year in, year out, since my youngest was a toddler and learning how to talk, is not saying negative words. And that one's interesting because you can get in a spiral where you're venting about something that really ticked you off. Somebody cut in front of you at the line, at the grocery store, at the coffee place, and you're just stewing about it when you go into work. And the next thing you know, after you've been stewing about it and somebody chimes in with a situation that they had to deal with, and now you have two scenarios of a lot of negative words going on. And then it just kind of feeds off each other. And like, oh yeah, you remember last week? And then you're just snowball effect to those negative words. And then you're just feeling really bad and down and angry. And like you want to go take it out on somebody. And then you got a customer that comes up and you're, supposed to be switching over to happy, friendly, and helpful, but you're not feeling very good about happy, friendly, and helpful. You're feeling spiteful, vindictive, and annoyed at the world. They're like, oh, here you are. You're just going to mess up my day too. And letting a negative word out happened. When you feed into those negative words, you just keep on fueling it with more stories and getting more people to add into it. You're just growing it into something that doesn't shut down very quickly. So the moment you're feeling frustrated or negative, let it out quickly and then move on to solution mode, right? Like, is there a problem? Is that why you're frustrated? Okay, let's focus on how we're fixing it. Did somebody do something to you and you're feeling pissed off because of how they treated you? Okay, new perspective. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe somebody cut in front of them and they let their negative emotions take over. Switch your perspective to curiosity and it helps smooth out a lot of those negative words that want to come out. And for my 8-year-old, a lot of times when she's feeling really dedicated and passionate about doing something or trying something out, and it doesn't go her way, she has a really hard time regulating that frustration into what would be considered socially acceptable, walking away, taking a deep breath, putting the project down. She'll yell, she'll scream, she might throw something and just, I really want this to work and it's not working. And so we have to practice letting that escape to show our frustration, but not linger and dwell on it. Because the longer you linger and dwell on it, creates new things where she's just then sinks into, well, maybe I can't do this because I'm stupid. Maybe I can't do this because I'm not good enough. And she'll just kind of spiral. The more negative words will just sink her lower and lower and lower and lower, to where instead of just being able to work on the project, we're now having to work on, our self-esteem and getting out of our dark place and feeling better, and then getting our confidence back, and then finding solutions to work on the project. So negative words, they are sticky poison. They will just latch on. And if you don't wash that off quickly, it will pull you down into a place that's a lot harder to get away from. Just remember, the moment you are feeling that bad vibe, give yourself 5 seconds to release whatever it is that just frustrated you, maybe 10 seconds, and then cut it off, switch gears, switch to solutions, switch to a new perspective, switch to distract yourself with, go pet a cat, go pet the cat. You can't be bad when you're petting a cat. And that will make a huge difference to keep you from entering in that low vibe that takes a lot longer to get back out of. Speaking of children and things that I've been working on for years, this next one, my number 4, this is a battle I'm having with my teen. My teenager is doing the same thing that I did through my teenage years, but I also did it all the way through my adult years up until about 5 years ago. So this is a really hard one that people might argue about, but don't hit the snooze button. Don't hit the snooze button. When your alarm goes off, do anything you can to get up the moment that alarm goes off. I don't care if you drop on the floor and you have to crawl your way to the bathroom because you are not awake enough to function upright motion. Don't hit the snooze button. And the reason why is you have jolted your system, right? Whatever you did to make yourself wake up with your alarm, it did its job. It woke you up. If you ignore that alarm and you snuggle back in and you do that snooze button for 5 minutes longer, you're telling your brain and your body not to release the wake up endorphins. So that alarm doesn't count. It doesn't matter. You're going to train yourself to ignore that and let yourself go back to sleep. And why is that a bad thing? 5 more minutes of sleep. You're abusing your body. It's like you punched it. You punched it and you put an ice pack on it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, and you punched it again. You put an ice pack on to soothe it, because you're falling back asleep, which means you're going back into the REM cycle, which means your brain is on a different wavelength pattern, your sleep mode, than your awake mode. And then you're ripped right back out of that in 5 minutes. And then you let yourself drift back into that and you're ripped right back out. I mean, it's mentally, psychologically, that's painful. You are beating yourself up every time you hit the snooze button. So when you're groggy and you're grumpy and you're chugging your coffee and you're sitting, you're like, man, I got like 8 hours of sleep. Why am I so tired? It's probably because the last half hour was a fight, was a battle, was you were taking abuse. You were not on the winning side of that fight. It is not easy to just get out of bed when your alarm goes off. I am no better than anything else. I know that if I give myself extra time, more time than I need, I'm going to use it for sleeping. I have to know exactly how long it's going to take me to get ready, and I don't give myself any extra time, because that little panic rush of I have no time, I have to get up, will motivate you to get out of bed. The first thing I do is I come downstairs and I open up the curtains in the living room, because it's a task that doesn't take any brain power. I'm walking, and so that helps me to wake up, because if I just go into the bathroom, I'm not awake. I'm still groggy. I'm still just a couple of feet away from bed and I want to go back to bed. So walking around the house, opening up the curtains, switching over the heater, getting a drink of water. I'm still tired. I'm still grumpy, but I'm up. And that really does make a big difference afterwards, keeping that motivation going. Anything you can come up with, whatever you can do, don't hit the snooze alarm. It's not actually doing anything for you. It's the illusion, fake. You're not getting more rest. You're not feeling more rested. And this one, take what you will for it. I know it sucks because advice is always great when it's given. I don't follow it. I'm still struggling with it. But if you can go to bed earlier, go to bed earlier and not have the battle with the alarm clock. Monday morning just sucks. Monday morning is going to suck. If you, like the most of the world, have a phone, you probably scroll. You probably will get yourself sucked in for hours without even realizing it on some sort of social media device or games I personally, I get sucked into my games. I'm not on social media very much. I am on my game. And that started with a technique for me to calm when I had stress, anxiety, or anger. It would kind of just give me a moment to center. You know, my youngest is having a meltdown. My teenager is battling about not doing something, and I got to do dinner. I just had a fight with my, at the time, husband, and I just needed to take a minute to just breathe. I would have a hard time getting space to myself because somebody would follow me or yell, or I could just, still felt like I was going to engage. And there's only so many times you can disappear into the bathroom before one of those times you don't get to. And so I would just sit down and I would pull up some games that were just mindless and easy to play. And I would play sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes a half hour. And that helped a lot, but it created a habit that now, just like anybody else, I have spare time. I sit down and I just start scrolling around. That is fine for the intention I meant it to have, but it's not fine because it evolved into taking over too much of my time. So that's making me feel really low vibe on a winter day, especially when I'm not motivated to do anything anyway. And then if I let myself get trapped on my phone, the next thing I know, an hour and a half has gone by. I have not done anything at all whatsoever but play games on my phone. If you can do what everybody in the world is telling you, I won't go into too depth of this particular one because I think there's at least like 5 billion videos talking about, don't doom scroll and here's how to help. But pick your chunks of time. Pick your chunks of time that will cut you off from being able to go too far. So like I'll play just before dinner time because I know I have to end it to go start dinner. I'll play while my youngest is in the bathtub because I know I'm going to be stuck finishing. I have no choice. She's going to interrupt me. It's going to get taken away. I kind of time my phone times around things that are going to encourage me to keep them short. Now that it's getting colder, my next low vibe eraser is a little bit harder, but you got to go outside and not just running to the car as fast as you can to crank up the heater and then running back into whatever building and then back again. But find a day. Like there's going to be a couple of bad days, but there's always a day where the wind is low, the sun is actually out. And even if it's not out, that's fine. It's behind the clouds. Just like they say, you can still get sunburned on a cloudy day. The sun is still out there. You got to go out there for the sun to do good stuff. And being inside, artificial lighting, it encourages you to sit down a lot more because, you're not going out and doing stuff. Find 10 minutes a day at minimum. Go check the mail. Go slowly check the mail. Walk around the house. I don't know if anybody ever had the parents when you were younger that if you started to annoy them too much, they would make you run around the house like 5 times. Maybe that was just a me thing. But my parents would, basically if we were fighting or annoying them, we would be kicked outside and we had to go run around the house 5 times. We had this big picture window in front of the living room looking out into the yard. So they would count us as we would go by. There's no way to shortcut, from one side to the other. And when we went around 5 times, we were allowed to come back in the house. And of course, we used to complain about it. No, woe is us. Our parents kicked us out of the house and made us do laps. But it was good. It was a good thing. It was needed. And if you can tell when kids are getting antsy and worked up and need to go outside, we've trained ourselves not to display those same antsy feelings, but it's still inside of us with that desire to go outside, stretch your legs. So give into it. Go find any excuse you can come up with to get yourself outside, see the clouds or sun, if you're fortunate enough to live south where you have more of a sun day than a cloud day. Number 8, which is only because I have been working so hard this last year on my 75 soft challenge and my daily walks and a bunch of other stuff, I can say very confidently that this has a huge benefit. Exercise. You gotta exercise. You gotta exercise if you don't want to stay stuck in a low vibe. Go for a walk. Like I said, you have to go outside anyway at some point to go get some sunshine and some fresh air. Do a walk. Get a couple of little 3-pound dumbbells, and just, even when you're just watching TV, just pace. Get up, pace, watch TV, do some motions and some movements, go the long way. So just find a way to get yourself to move, because the more you sink into your comfy spot, it's going to create a habit that's going to blend in with, oh, this is what I do in the wintertime, and I'm going to get snuggled up in my blankie, and I'm going to get my nice warm drink, and I'm not going to move. And then a month goes by and you haven't moved and you gain 10 pounds. keep your vibe up, move around, and it will really help. So just a quick recap of all of the things to help you get out of a low vibe during the winter time, especially if you have the seasonal depression or you just feel unmotivated in the winter. It's winter. Stay away from the scary movies and scary shows that are dark, not good side of humanity. Instead of dwelling on the parts that are bad, just try dwelling on the good. It's better. Same thing for the sad music. Number 2, try to stay away from the sad music. Those beautiful voices, all of that will just pull you in and you won't be able to help it. So just do not have the sad song playlist. Just let it go. Let it go. Stay away from your negative words. Don't let those negative thoughts snowball into something bigger that's heavier and harder to get away from. Cut it off within 10 seconds. Let it out whatever you needed to do. But after that 10 seconds, find something positive to say. Find a new perspective or go distract yourself with something totally different that will make you forget. Cut out the negative talk. The alarm. Don't do the alarm. Just give it a try. Don't set your alarm 20 minutes early, half hour early, so you can snooze it the entire time. Let yourself sleep that solid amount, extra half hour without any interruption, and then get up. Go get a drink of water. Put your alarm across the room if you have to. Do the steps that you have to do. Don't hit a snooze. Get up. Don't scroll on your phone. Don't get lost in your phone. Don't, do those bits. It's out there in the world. There's help. Pick your times that you know that you can't get lost in, that are going to get interrupted. Enjoy them, have fun with them, and then know that you're going to move on. Get outside, get the vitamin D, whether it's a cloudy day or not. Find time to go out there, go collect autumn leaves, go collect sticks. Find a reason, paint rocks and go hide them for other people that will motivate them to enjoy going out to walk. It's a lot easier to do the difficult stuff when you're doing it for other people sometimes. So you got to exercise. So if you're doing the walks, you're going outside, that's great. You are getting all the good stuff in one package deal. Just don't let yourself get sunk into the cozy spot and never come out of it. If you follow some of those tips, I hope that you will find a much more joyful winter season that allows you to really immerse yourself in the beauty of this season. Winter has just as much joyful opportunities. And when we're stuck in a low vibe, we're stuck in that seasonal depression or long-term depression, we miss it. Don't miss out on any part of life. That's why you're here, is to experience every aspect of life. Those bad days makes a good days feel way more incredible. All right. So not to make light of those bad days, because I understand, you really get the offset. You can do it. Find your high vibe and enjoy your winter season. Make sure you get a snuggly blanket and stuff.